All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This week we're going over the what's called the Renaissance period in the European music history. What I'd like to start each unit with was a little bit about some background history of what's going on during the time of this period that kind of led to why the music was written the way it was written. So be sure to fill out the form to let me know that you've watched this in a timely manner, and let's run with this, okay? The Renaissance period is the time between 1300 and 1600. The general concepts of the Renaissance period. The term Renaissance means the rebirth. And and it's the beginning of the modernism in our modern society. The reality of the Renaissance arc was quite different from the Middle Ages. Okay, the Middle Ages was more based off of religion, and the Renaissance kind of moved away from the church thoughts and into more of a secular, which is more of a worldly thought, which leads to the next concept, intellectual control, which is how people think, reason, was more important than mystic faith, which is the emotion of the belief of the gods control everything in history. It was centered in Florence, Italy. Okay, beauty was very important during this time period. People started to like nice things, and but to get nice things, you had to pay for it. Okay, the people of the Renaissance period understood, you know, the Greeks and the Romans of the Middle Ages and the prehistory periods, but they didn't necessarily repeat it. Okay, during this time is the rise of things like fame and glory. Usually during this point in time, everything's controlled by kings and queens and what we call nobility. But if you have a certain skill, if you were an actor, if you are a singer that's really good, that can sing in the church or act in the Shakespearean plays, things, you can become famous and you can bring glory to your family. And that's the whole idea of what humanism is, which is what I just went over, and I don't know why I have this on here twice, but it's basically the exact same thing. Belief in the achievements and potential of human beings. Return to Greek thought. You know, family name is most important, which is I still think it's important too. You always want to do well for your name. That's in the Scottish. This is where the crest would be developed, where you have your family shield and stuff. So bringing honor to your family is very important. Okay, some more background history. This is the start of education, of mass education, and as you can see, the first colleges were founded: the college in Oxford, the Cambridge University, University of Paris, and the University of Milan in Italy. Those were the first universities of note that was founded during this time period. We had some vital inventions during this time period. One's the clock. Okay, the clock's accurate measurement of time, needed measuring for distances and travel. Especially useful at sea where there were no landmarks. Okay, this is originally the sundial, but after obviously, we have clocks and digital timekeepers now. Gunpowder, it was borrowed from the Chinese, which means it wasn't invented in Europe. Okay, it was invented as an amusement, and then later it was turned into a weapon. The printing press, and it says Gutenberg 1613, which is the music font. But the printing press is vital, probably one of the top 5 inventions of all time, because when you could mass produce books, mass produce printings, then you can spread the ability to be educated, which leads to the universities, because you can print books. You can print things, and it's not just for the rich people who can afford those books. It can be accessed by anybody. Some explorations. At this time, people are starting to explore the world, okay? Now, one famous thing is Columbus sails to the New World in 1492, okay? Columbus was looking for a new trade route to Asia, okay? But he actually landed kind of in Haiti instead. And so since he thought he was going to Asia, he called those people Indians. Now, Columbus did not discover this because there were people already there. If people were already there, that means he didn't discover it. That means somebody else discovered it. Okay? But Columbus went this way. The rise of capitalism. With all the different travels and trade routes, you are learning to buy and sell things. Capitalism is a way of making money. It's a monetary system. So it's if you can produce something that someone wants, someone will buy. We talked about beauty a few slides earlier. If you like beautiful things, hey, I can create beautiful things. But if you want it, I'll sell it to you for a certain price. So if people had the means to purchase things, barter or trade things, and you would do that, and the more things you acquire, the more wealth you would have. Especially it's important considering when you had a world of nobilities and common people. This is a way of common people becoming more of, quote unquote, a middle class, not just the poor and impoverished. Okay. And so, and with world trade and world travel, you learn, oh, we can get our spices from India, and travel the world to get spices in and bring it back, so we can keep our things fresher longer. In the world of music, polyphony is the great musical invention. Now, polyphony means multiple independent parts. The art of writing in the style of polyphony is called a counterpoint, which means combining independent musical lines. So, as I've said before, if you have a musical idea and another musical idea at the same time that are different, and you combine them, it creates great beauty in the original form. There's some composers in the next couple of slides that I challenge you to go and listen to one of their songs, and that way you can hear for yourself how this sounds. Okay? Use not only to get the text across, which is the words, but because it's pretty, the rhymes, rhythms of the words match the sounds of the human speech. The familiar style, which is the cantus firmus, is all parts moving in the same rhythm in the same direction. It's the hymn style. Now, I'm going to show you a picture real quick. It's right here. Right here, this is what a hymnal looks like. Okay? This is out of a church hymnal. If you go to church, if your church still has hymn books, these are what it looks like. If you see on the top line, you see little musical notes and stuff, that's the rhythm stuff. But in between the two lines, you see the text. Okay? And you got 4 different verses. So when you sing this, you would sing the first verse along with the rhythm and the words. When you get to the end of it, you come back and sing the second verse. So the melody doesn't. It's the same melody for each different verse. And particularly in this hymn right here, you have 4 different verses, and you have the same melody, but the words change each time through. Where's my notes? Okay, that is the hymn style. Everything moving in the same direction with the same fixed melody. The melody is fixed. Okay, the melody doesn't change, but the words do. Now, main musical forms. This is the rise of secular music. Secular music is music that's not rooted in the church. Okay? So, all the music prior to this was pretty much written for the church and religious reason. This is the rise of secular music, which is music not written for church, not non-religious music. So that's why you have music that's written for dances, and the dances were written to fit certain musics. Okay, madrigal is musical theater. It's small musical performances, kind of like what happens in theater. Okay, whereas when we talk about sacred music is music that is written for the church, and since the dominant church of this time period was the Catholic Church, that's why you have the term Mass, which means the large musical church service. Okay. Now, a motet is a small version of a Mass, which doesn't last nearly long, where Mass can last hours. Motets last minutes. Small version of it. It's also the rise of instrumental music. We use the term consorts for different instruments. But prior to this, the only instruments that was invented was the piano. But this is where the string instruments were naturally invented during this time period, which is the rise of that. Guillaume Dufay, okay, he was a composer, wrote the dedication piece for the Florence Cathedral Dome. Those are his dates. He wrote 8 masses, which are for the church, and along with 84 other religious songs. Jacques de Prez. Jacques de Prez is the inventor of the polyphony style. His dates are 1444 to 1521. He worked for King Louis the 12th. As you see, the songs he wrote were masses and motet. They were all religious, and were all in the style of the polyphony style, the counterpoint. Okay, Palestrina wrote vocal music. Almost all of it's religious. As you see, these guys were all writing religious music. Wrote several masses. He worked at the St. Peter's Cathedral in Rome. So he worked for the Roman Catholic Church. All right. That's what we have for today. Be sure you read this, listen to this, check off on it, and we'll have something new for you for tomorrow. You guys have a nice day.